Welcome back to The Explainer, where we really dig into big ideas. Today we're jumping into something fascinating, a truly masterful argument from the Apostle Paul in the second chapter of the book of Romans.
All right, let me ask you something. When you see something that's just obviously wrong out in the world, what's your first instinct? Your gut reaction? Yeah, for most of us, it's to judge, right?
Oh, what's so incredible is that the Apostle Paul knows that. He anticipates that exact reaction. And he uses it to set this brilliant rhetorical trap that, well, it completely flips the script on the person reading.
So here's how he sets the stage. Chapter 1 ends with this really bleak picture of a sinful world. And Paul's kind of inviting the reader, especially the morally upright one, to nod along and point their finger in agreement, like, yep, those people are terrible.
And then bam, the very first verse of chapter 2. That's when the trap springs shut. In just one sentence, he pivots the camera, right? It's no longer about them over there. Suddenly it's all about you. And just like that, the whole conversation changes.
So let's talk about this moment. This is that pivotal twist, the instant the pointing finger becomes a mirror staring right back at you.
Paul says that when you judge, you are inexcusable. Now, the Greek word here is anapologetos. It literally means without a defense. Think about it like being in a courtroom. You've got nothing to say. No defense, no valid apology. You're caught.
And here is the absolute genius of his logic. It's almost like a checkmate. The very fact that you can judge someone else proves you know the difference between right and wrong. You know the standard. So what happens when you break that standard? Well, you've condemned yourself out of your own mouth. It's inescapable.
Okay, so if this hypocrisy is such a big deal, you might be wondering, why isn't it judged immediately? Why does God wait? Paul sees that question coming a mile away.
He explains that so many people make this huge, terrible mistake. They look at God's patience, and they mistake it for his approval. They think, well, nothing bad happened, so I must be okay. They treat his patience like a free pass to keep doing what they're doing.
But that's not it at all. In fact, Paul uses these three incredibly rich Greek words to describe God's character here. He talks about God's goodness, that's his kindness. His forbearance, that's him actively holding back his anger. And his longsuffering, picture a really, really long fuse, that's his patience.
And this all builds to his main point, right here in this verse. God's kindness isn't him just looking the other way. It's an active, powerful tool. It's meant to lead you to repentance, to give you the time and the space to completely change your mind and heart.
Okay, so this whole idea leads us to the central theme of the entire chapter. God's judgment is completely, 100% impartial. And Paul breaks down how this works for two major groups of people at the time.
So first, you have the Jewish people. They had the scriptures, the written law from God. So for them, the standard is clear. They'll be judged by that very law they received.
But what about everyone else, the Gentiles, the non-Jewish world? Well, Paul says God judges them by a different standard, the moral law that he's written on every single human heart. You know that little voice inside? That's your conscience, and it acts as a witness for or against your actions.
And this next point is absolutely critical, and it probably would have shocked his original audience. Paul says it's not enough to just hear the law. Knowing the rules doesn't make you righteous. It's the doers of the law who are justified. It's all about action, not just knowledge.
And this is the verse that underpins the whole idea. For there is no respect of persons with God. Now, what that means in the original language is that God doesn't receive a face. He's not impressed by your status, your background, your ethnicity, none of it. His judgment is perfectly fair.
All right, so to wrap up his argument, Paul completely redefines what it even means to be a person of faith. He shifts the focus entirely, from the outside to the inside.
He lays out this powerful contrast, right? On one side, you have outward religion, things you can see like physical signs or just following the letter of the law. On the other side, you have the inward reality, a spiritual surgery of the heart, a genuine transformation in the spirit. It's the difference between doing things to get praise from people versus having a heart that seeks praise from God alone. And this verse right here is the absolute peak of his argument. He says a true person of faith is one inwardly. Real transformation is a circumcision of the heart, something done by the Spirit. It's not about a written code. It's about a changed heart whose praise comes from God, not from other people.
So what are we supposed to do with all this? It's a heavy argument, but it leaves us with three really practical takeaways. Number one, look in the mirror first. practice some self-examination before you go criticizing others. 2, don't take God's kindness for granted. See His patience as a gift, an opportunity to change, not a free pass. And 3, live for God's approval. Focus on your inward integrity, not just your outward reputation.
And all of that really brings us to one final searching question that we have to ask ourselves. When it comes to my own faith, is it more about the outward appearance, or is it about the inward reality of a transformed heart?